Some families become famous online because they are entertaining. Some families become famous online because they are seen as relatable. And there are some families that become famous online because the internet can't stop asking one question. What is really going on here? And an example of a family that really represents this question are social media phenomenons known as the Collins kids family. At the center of it all is an influencer named Carissa Collins and her husband, Mandry Collins. Together, they have built an online brand around faith, parenting, and something that immediately makes their family stand out. They have an extremely large number of children, and I'm not even talking about two, not even four. In fact, let's multiply those two numbers, not even eight. They have 11 children, 11 different children, and they are all raised under a strict faith-based household and homeschooled away from traditional schooling systems. And if you only glance at their social media page for just a few seconds, the content looks almost picture perfect. On their social media page, you find family dance videos, prayer circles, them matching outfits in pictures and sometimes even videos, and the kids smiling at the camera, or at least that is what we think. And more than occasionally, you will see motivational speeches about faith and motherhood.
I had no idea that God had planned a big family for us. We just simply believe that we are to live lives of faith and that children are eternal and they're the only eternal thing that we have with us on this earth, and that they have value, lots of value, the most valuable thing we can have or we can contribute. And so that is, we believe it's just a life of faith. The Bible talks about faith all the time, and that is what we believe. My platform is just to show other women that it is possible to trust God, and it is possible to be joyful and enjoy motherhood and have children that literally are amazing.
But if you spend more than a few minutes looking deeper into the Collins kids' online presence, something interesting starts to happen. The story becomes, let's just say, complicated, because behind the cheerful Instagram post and the TikTok dances is a growing internet rabbit hole filled with controversial parenting practices, unusual medical beliefs, religious ideology that critics say are borderline extreme, and a social media presence that constantly places the children at the center of the content. Over the past few years, the Collins family has slowly become one of the most debated families on the internet. Their supporters see them as a beautiful example of faith and devotion, while critics see something completely different. But the biggest question people keep asking is, when does family life end? And when does content begin? Because over time, viewers started noticing patterns. For example, the kids appearing in videos constantly, older siblings seemingly taking parental roles, stories about injuries back to back, and controversies about medical decisions. And I cannot forget to mention the fact that they have really intense religious messaging that raises eyebrows across the internet.
If you are considering not having any more children, or you have made the decision to stop having children, look at your youngest child and tell them why. I'm going to look at him and pretend like he's my 12th child, my future child, and tell him the reasons that I don't want to have any more children. Arrow, I'm sorry, I can't give you life. Your siblings just don't want another baby. Arrow, I'm sorry, I can't give you life because I just don't have enough time to give to all the other children. Arrow, I can't give you life because I have health issues. And what if I die? Arrow, I can't give you life because I just don't have enough money to provide you with food. If there is nothing that would prevent you from giving life to your youngest child, then why do we let things prevent us from giving life to our next child or our future children?
What started as a wholesome big family account slowly turned into something that many online observers describe as one of the internet's most confusing family influencer stories ever. So in today's video, we're gonna be breaking it all down, and this isn't just a story about a big family, it involves children. I mean 11 different children, and hopefully you'll be able to answer the question being, is there something deeper going on behind the camera? With that being said, let's dive right into it, shall we? Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Kelly and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I just want to say a very huge thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers over the past few weeks. It really does mean a lot that you clicked the subscribe button. So if you're new here, this is your first video you're watching on my channel, just feel free to subscribe. It really means a lot to me. I got into a deep rabbit hole while researching on this family, and their whole dynamic is just so disturbing. It had nothing to do with the kids, but mostly because of the parents that put them at the forefront of, on social media, which is very, very messed up. Chapter 1. The rise of the Collins kids. Before the controversies, before the constant debate, before thousands of people decided to start dissecting their parenting choices, the Collins kids family was just a regular family on the internet posting videos about their lives. At the center of the account are two people: Christian influencer Carissa Collins and her husband Mandre Collins. Carissa has 2.1 million followers on Facebook, and according to her, she is a servant of Yahuwah, a wife, a mom of 11, a homeschooler, and also a photographer. And she graduated from Berkeley College with a major in business management and Bible knowledge and ministry. While her husband, Mandre Collins, graduated from Sterling College and has a BSc in business admin. He currently works as a manager at Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, and I'm just going to tell you right now, that is not a small deal at all. He also has an organization named the Kingdom Hopes, and they are basically a foundation that helps basketball players improve in their game. Together, they have built a social media brand that revolves around three things: faith, family, and having a lot of children. I mean, that is basically their motto. Over the years, Carissa and Mandre have welcomed 11 children. Some have really special names, for lack of better words, and followers quickly learned each of their names as the family online presence grew. In this part, I'm going to be talking about the children, basically their names, when they were born, and their position in the family. What I'm not going to do is, dive into their characteristics or what they love doing, because, at this point, I don't like children being on the internet alone. So for me to even start telling you about them, it doesn't just sit right with me. Normally, I would probably do that, but right now, I don't want to. The firstborn, Anissa Collins. She was born on December 12th, 2009, and this is somebody that the internet definitely feels pity for. As we continue to talk about the Collins family in this video, you will kind of understand why. The second born, being a boy, is named Andre Collins, and he was born on July 26, 2011. The third born is Ernestine Collins, and she was born on November 2nd, 2012. Next on the list is Angelique Collins, born December 14th, 2013. The next person is Anderson Collins, born July 17th, 2015. The sixth born is Angel Collins, born December 10th, 2016. Next on the list is Anta Collins, born February 6th, 2018. The eighth born is Anchor Collins, born August 31st, 2019. The next person is Anthem Collins, born January 1st, 2021. In January of 2022, Carissa experienced a miscarriage, and this miscarriage was pretty public online, so a lot of people already knew. I just want to put this out there. A miscarriage is one of the hardest things a woman can literally ever experience. It is really not easy, and I just want to tell y'all that please be nice about this part, or just take it easy, because it's definitely not easy for a woman to go through or even experience in general. So please understand that. Just over a year later, on February 11th, 2023, Alma Collins was brought into the world, which will make that her 10th child, and eventually the youngest addition to the family, Arrow Collins. If you've noticed the patterns in those names, I promise you are not imagining things. All their children's names start from A. I don't make fun of people's names, honestly, because I don't feel like there's a need to, because they're not the ones who named themselves. It's probably the parents I'm supposed to be making fun of. But when I was researching this family and I was just seeing these names, I was like, Ansa Collins, Arrow Collins, Armor Collins. I don't know if these parents are just so out of touch or only care about themselves that they don't realize that these children are gonna grow up. They're gonna grow up and people would have to refer to them as an adult using those names. Guys, just let me know what you think about this part, because maybe some people might disagree, but for me, I just feel like it's pretty weird, and this is what makes children want to change their names, because they're adults now, and it sounds weird when you're calling an adult answer. I don't want to tell you their middle names, because no, that's like diving too deep. But some of their middle names is just like, what? Are you not thinking about their children's future? Do you feel like they're gonna stay a child forever? Well, according to Carissa, it's part of the family's identity and their faith-driven philosophy to name all their children starting with the letter A. The word arrow appears often in her messaging that comes from a Bible verse she frequently references, which is basically the idea that children are, and I quote, arrows in the hands of a warrior. In our worldview, every child is a blessing, and every blessing should be welcomed, no limits at all. Now let's talk about how the account started. In the early days, the account was simply called the Collins Kids. And at first, the content just looked like what you would expect a normal big family on the internet to post. For example, family dance videos, sharing their experiences, talking about each of the kids and when they had them, and so on and so forth. I would like to just think normal family content, even though I don't really think it's advisable for you to put your child online. But yeah, these are the kind of contents that they make. And as we already know, large families oftentimes attract attention online because people are curious. They're asking, how are they able to have this much kids? How can they afford it? How can they take care of them? Are they all adopted? Did she give birth to all of them? Because are 11 children. Over the course of this video, you're gonna hear me mention the fact that there are a lot of children because 11 children, that's almost a dozen, literally. And Carissa really leaned into that curiosity. She began posting more frequently, kept on giving more updates, more explanation about their lifestyle, and more glimpses into how their household works. And slowly but surely, the account began growing. But as we would have already guessed, something interesting started to happen as they became more and more popular online. Their content slowly started to change, and not in a good way at all. What once started as simple family updates gradually shifted into something more ideological, or should I even say calculated. At this point, Carissa wasn't just documenting motherhood anymore, she was now teaching the philosophy of motherhood. The videos they started posting on the internet began focusing on messages like trust God with your family size. Don't limit the blessing God wants to give you. Don't limit the blessing God wants to give you. Children are gifts, not burdens.
We did not have a plan to trust God with our family size. We'd never heard of that. We had a 5-year plan to wait 5 years before we started having kids. I personally didn't really want kids that much. I just wanted a career. I think you wanted 3 kids, maybe, but we were going to wait 5 years. And we both left church that day and said, we trust God in every area except having children. And so we left on the same page. Fast forward 3 babies after that. So we ended up having 3 babies in like 4 years. And then we came to a disagreement. I got really sick and he got stressed out and had a bunch of fears about continuing to have more children. Finally, I gave it to God. I stopped bringing it up. I stopped fighting with him and I said, okay, God, he's yours. Change his heart or change my heart. And then one day, just randomly after our 7th child, which I thought he got vasectomies. He had told me at one time he was getting a vasectomy. Okay. I thought he did that, but I kept getting pregnant. Are you going to have more children?
But the answer is simple for me. It's I'll have as many as God wants to give me. And I always tell people that if he tells you first, make sure you tell me. God began to really speak to me and say, every kid that I give you, I'll provide for them. And 2, your wife's health, I'll take care of her, as long as she stays connected to me. And I hadn't even talked to my wife about the decision yet, in terms of like being completely solidified on just trusting God. We were out in public one day and somebody asked us, how many more kids are you guys going to have? And Carissa didn't answer. And you just kind of looked at me. Waiting on an answer from me. And I remember very vividly just looking this lady in the eyes and I said, man, we're going to have as many as God's going to give us. And Carissa kind of just lost it in that moment and there was tears rolling because again, I never came back around and talked to her about where my heart was. And
it was at this point that they decided to change their names from the Collins kids to the Collins kids family. And you might be thinking to yourself, that is probably a great thing, right? They'll stop showing their kids on the internet. No, it was at this point that the kids started to show in their videos more, and this time everything just seems so fake. At this point, it was pretty obvious that Carissa wanted some attention for herself. I mean, all the attention, but at the same time, still wanted to show her kids as much as possible because she was the one who created them, she was the one who brought them to life. And to some people, that might be very good, because Carissa is taking the forefront of the account and she's constantly the one making the videos. But to me, it would have only been good if she didn't show her kids. It just felt like at this point, her kids were even shown even more. And she wanted that, let's just say, recognition and praise for bringing so many kids into this world because, she's the mother. How can she not have attention? Why are the kids having all the attention? Which, I don't know, some people might be split on it, but as long as her children are still taking the forefront of the account and constantly being like videos are constantly being made about them, I don't see that as a good thing at all. She frequently posted long captions explaining why she keeps having children, why she believes birth control is inherently wrong, and why she thinks modern parenting has become too cautious. And those opinions started attracting both supporters and a lot of critics. I would say that Carissa is very opinionated, and I'll probably talk about this in the later chapters. She constantly pushes the narrative that, you are selfish for not having children. How dare you not want to bring children into this life? And she always discards the fact that discards. She always discards the fact that you need money to raise children. She makes it seem like the fact that you don't want to bring children into this life is you being selfish and you being a bad person in general. Because how do you have the chance to bring a child into this world and refuse to? How dare you? Can you not guess why I have 11 children? It's because I want to bring a child into this world. Even though I might not be able to take care of them or spread my love evenly across to them, it doesn't really matter. I have the gifts to bring them into this world. Why shouldn't I? Because according to Carissa, having a large family isn't just a personal choice, it is a religious calling. And the more she spoke about this online, the more her beliefs became clearer. In many of her videos and captions, Carissa explains that she and her husband, Mandre Collins, follow a simple rule when it comes to family planning. They simply don't decide how many children to have. God does. That is literally their role. If you remember, I mentioned before the fact that Carissa Amandri sees their children or children in general as arrows in the hands of a warrior. So I feel like she interpreted this particular message as having children is a blessing from God. And if you limit that blessing, you're basically interfering with what God has in plan for you. I hope that makes sense. So instead of them planning their family size through finances, timing, or let's just say lifestyle consideration, like most people do, they basically welcome children as long as God allows it. I feel like I'm very, very bad with timing or keeping track with time because tell me why I am almost always late to something. And see, it's not because of I want to be late, it's because I don't even know how time had passed while I was doing something important. And before I go, I just have to show you guys something very important. It might not be important to you, but it's important to me. This is a milk drink. I got this from a Chinese grocery store or a convenience store, whatever you want to call it. This is probably my top five, part of my top five drinks. It is really that good. It has a smooth taste without tasting, let's just say, too sugary. I just like it. Another one is this one. I don't understand Chinese, but this is very, very nice. It has peanuts in it, and this is my favorite biscuit. Yes, it's replaced the granola bar. This is my favorite biscuit so far. If you have a Chinese convenience store, you should probably like try this out. And on to you, Future Kelly. I think you should take over right now. Thank you so much, Past Kelly. I'm gonna take it from here. Anyways, so sorry about the lighting in case it's not good. It's probably because I'm filming at 4 a.m. in the morning. And you know, we gotta make use of what we already have. Let's continue. As you guys already know, Carissa's philosophy isn't unique at all. It reflects a broader Christian ideology often associated with extremely large families. And this belief system is sometimes connected to movements that encourage couples to have as many children as possible and avoid limiting family size. The crazy thing about all this is the fact that these families not only see these children as blessings, but they also see them as part of a larger spiritual mission. And once the internet started realizing this, they started comparing the Collins family to well-known large religious families online. One family I kept seeing them being compared to is the family led by Jim Bob Duggar. And let's just say that they're one of the most controversial families in the history of reality TV. Jim has, brace yourself, 19 children. And he also adopted his nephew, which will make them 20. 20 children. That is basically times two of the amount of children Carissa has. I get the fact that 20 and 11 are not the same, but people on the internet comparing these families aren't trying to say that they are exactly alike or identical. They are trying to say that these two families bring children into this world not because of they want to, but anytime they talk about why they have so many children, the first response from their mouth is because that is what God wants for them. They allowed God to take the forefront and give them as much children as possible. And that alone in itself is pretty controversial because it sparked a lot of debates of people asking, since it's not really your choice to bring children into this world and you leave it in God's hands, would you actually be able to take care of that child? I'm not even talking about money, I'm talking about emotional needs, being there for your child, spreading your love across each and every child equally. Because the Collins family are seen as one of the most controversial families online, they quickly started growing, and with that, Carissa started posting more videos about her children. And people started to notice that her children have pretty much changed. They no longer seem excited compared to when she started posting about them. And mind you, Carissa started posting her children 8 years ago. Her oldest child was just 9 years old, 8 to 9 years old at that point. And mind you, they were just kids, like they were so small that obviously their parents would make most of the decisions for them, and maybe they were just getting into something that was relatively new, and kids would obviously be excited to film a video with their mom. But now it is so obvious that they're done and they don't want to, but you know, Carissa would always find a way to make them. And one thing I definitely noticed the fact that the two eldest children, they're always faking it. They're always faking it, especially the boy. The boy is always like this. Always like this. At a point, it's obvious like he's tired of it, or they had to refilm multiple times. But he's always like this, and he's hardly lip syncing to anything. And people would always like to pass it out as, oh, he was just shy, but that was not how he was before. But with the way the family dynamic is, it's obvious that there's some videos that they have to film over and over and over again till they get it right. And the boy just stands there like, I don't want to be here, but I'm gonna smile anyways. And it's just so disturbing. Now moving on to the eldest daughter, her own too, she tries her very, very best to at least keep some kind of composure, even though she doesn't want to be there. In multiple videos that she films with her parents or with her siblings, immediately the video goes off. You see her walk away, either enter the house or go to the backyard or something like that. And her smile is also so fake. And that's not even to like talk bad about her. She doesn't just want to be there, but she has to smile for the camera and make videos even though she doesn't want to. One video that definitely sparked a lot of controversy was a video that Carissa posted where she was announcing to her children in a form of a song that she now has 12 children instead of 11.
Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became a mom of 12 beautiful children. Children didn't hear me. I said 12 children.
You said 12 children. You guys. Yay! Yeah, mommy's pregnant! Yay! You're pregnant! Mom, I knew it! Mom, you're pregnant! No, Mom, you're gonna have two. Wait, no!
I don't know what I'm gonna have, but yes, I'm pregnant.
Mom, give me it. No way! You're pregnant!
Yes, I needed to
I
get
don't
it
know
out.
I saw your stomach on the house.
I just told you.
You don't look like you're pregnant. You're too skinny. Come on, baby. You said you were on your period!
I thought I was. I thought I was. I'm not joking. I thought I
You can tell Dad. You
was.
can tell Dad.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
pregnant!
Honestly, this video made me sad in so many ways. I don't know if you caught it, but in the video she said, I promise my teenagers are excited. This is just the way they show emotion. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, girl, I was 12 or maybe even 5 years old. I'm pretty sure a 5-year-old is even more smarter than how Carissa thinks we are. However, it's like those children are not excited. They look like they're done with it all. The camera is right in front of them, so they cannot show their true emotion. So they just have to open their mouth. If not, they have to refilm the whole thing again because you won't let them leave until the video comes out perfectly. You can see the second born standing by the side in disbelief. He cannot believe it at all that another new child is gonna be added to the family when there's literally a toddler sitting on his mom's lap. It is crazy. And for the firstborn, it's obvious that girl is done. You could see her reaction in this video. Even her eyes tells a completely different story. I think she didn't even try to hide the fact that she doesn't want this. She doesn't want this whole thing and she's tired of this whole ordeal. Even before she left the frame, when she walked into the house, she carried the basketball and she hit it on the ground, not really aggressively, but I feel like that's a way for her to just release some steam or some fumes in her body. After Carissa announced this to her children, when the little ones were congratulating their mom because a new child is going to be added to the family, you could just see the third child by the side looking at the firstborn in a way like, oh my goodness. It was so obvious that she was trying to look at her sister for, reassurance and tell her everything's gonna be okay, or basically in disbelief to see her sister's reaction. And obviously, her sister was not having it, and she was able to catch that. I don't know how Carissa was not able to catch that. Maybe she caught that, but she does not want people to, start stirring controversies or saying things about her, which that was already too late. The fact that she posted that video alone was enough. And even when the firstborn dashed into the house without saying a single word to her mom or even congratulating her or even hugging her, the third and the firstborn followed right behind. That doesn't look like someone that's excited. Carissa, please be for real. I don't know if they entered the house to comfort her, but I think that's. Guys, I had to switch places because of what just happened. So I'm so sorry about the constant changing and also the bad lighting. I promise it's not gonna be like this in the next video. Let's continue. Almost everybody in the comment section had the same opinion. The fact that this whole thing can just be seen as sad, and the fact that her children are already tired of her. I feel like this is the right time for us to have the sister mom conversation, because honestly, this is just truly sad. In many large families, older children often help care for their younger ones. At this point, it is partly practical. It is basically inevitable because when there are a lot of children in a household, everybody has to help out. And I feel like that's why Carissa gets a lot of hate, because every time this sister mom conversation comes up, people are always concerned for the older daughter, Anissa. I feel like this is why people don't like them at all, because it seems like Carissa is having children to take care of her children just because she doesn't want to stop giving birth, because according to her, it's God's will. There are multiple videos online where Carissa shows her children's room, and when she showed Anissa's room, guess what? There was a baby crib in Anissa's room. Why is a baby crib inside Anissa's room? A baby that's probably a toddler, meaning that the baby sleeps there, and every time the baby cries, Anissa will have to stand up and take care of the child. Please be for real. I understand the fact that moms can be tired. It's not easy to be a mom. You're doing this to yourself though. You're having multiple children back to back and letting your children take care of your other children. This whole thing is just sad and disturbing. The fact that a teenager has to actively take care of a toddler just because you cannot control yourself. It is truly sad. And that really explains Anissa's reaction.
We're doing a video selfie. Please smile. Ready? Say cheese. Say mommy's pregnant.
See, Mom, we all knew it already.
Mom!
Baby mama, we got the baby mama.
I forgot to define what a sister mom is. So basically, a sister mom is a term used online to describe the dynamic where a daughter takes on the responsibilities that resemble parenting. Carissa and Mandre Collins are raising 11 children under one roof. That means daily life includes multiple babies or toddlers at once, homeschool lessons happening simultaneously, sports and activities for the older children, feeding a household of more than a dozen people, and maintaining the entire home. And even for two highly organized parents, that's an enormous amount of responsibility, which means in practice, the household often runs with help from other children. There are some people that might not really see this as a big deal because of their culture or where they come from, but the debate online centers around how much responsibility is appropriate for a child to carry. It appears I have not given Mandre Collins a spotlight, and it's so obvious that this crazy man so desperately wants it. So here you go. There are multiple videos and pictures of him spanking his baby with a spatula. There are also multiple pictures where he's seen rough handling his children and picking them up with one arm, picking them up upside down with two children in his arms. Multiple observers have seen these children being disciplined in a public setting, sometimes during their outings or when they are filming videos outside their house. As this video started going viral, people online became more concerned about the kids and their dynamics or how they are living life at home with this type of awful parent. And eventually, CPS got involved, or people started calling CPS to report the family because they feel like the children are being abused. And Carissa have posted about this multiple times, about the fact that people are reporting her to CPS, and she constantly says that CPS doesn't even bother looking into it because it is not true and it would never be true that she abuses her children. And I'm not surprised at this at all because of how Carissa frames discipline. In her messaging, she often explains that any difficulties or injuries are a test from God, part of God's spiritual growth, or a learning moment guided by faith. When you follow a family online, you already expect occasional scrapes, for example, them falling down and having to get that wood treated. But for the Collins family, it's really different. It is basically a pattern with constant illnesses, accidents, and also injuries. There are multiple reports made by Carissa herself talking about how her children are in one incident or another. For example, broken bones, arm injury, children falling ill repeatedly back to back, or even accidents happening close together. And that is exactly why it was getting attention, because it was not one accident every few months. I mean, it was happening concurrently. Let's also add the fact that Carissa does not believe in medicine. She has an anti-medicine belief. Please raise your hand if you're surprised. I hope you did not raise your hand because I already saw this comment even before I started looking into this family extensively. Carissa doesn't like vaccines, she doesn't like birth control, she rejects prenatal care, she prefers home or what she likes to call Christ-assisted births over hospital deliveries. Carissa believes in faith over medicine, and she also believes that God's protection constant prayer and spiritual preparation would help protect the child's health. To make this even worse, she has repeatedly suggested the fact that children become sick due to sin or even spiritual imbalance. So they have to repent so that God can forgive them and they'll no longer be ill. And for that, Carissa, I have a very important question to ask you. What happens when a serious medical situation arises and the child doesn't have access to professional care? Well, I don't even see the need for asking that question because Carissa herself has answered it for us in the most terrible way possible. One day, Carissa posted a long video detailing a scary situation with her daughter, Anthem. The child had become very ill, and the symptoms were very serious enough to alarm both the families and her supporters, with the viewers too. Carissa decided to go for prayer over immediate medical attention. She framed the whole crisis as a spiritual test, describing the experience as a challenge from God, a moment for divine intervention, and a test of faith for both the child and the family. By the time viewers were just digesting the Anthem system, another layer of the Collins family story had already been drawing attention, which is basically their approach to education. The Collins children are homeschooled, and Carissa often shares glimpses of their curriculum in her videos and posts. And surprise, surprise, Carissa and her husband believe in learning through faith, meaning that majority of their curriculum centers around religious instructions and how to follow God. Carissa has repeatedly mentioned the fact that she prefers homeschooling because homeschooling protects her children from, and I quote, circular influences. So basically, these children are always on camera, their lessons are intertwined with religious activities, and most of their social reactions are largely mediated through the family. This couple are so delusional. Oh my goodness, I am so mad. Even while filming this video right now, I just want to get to the bar with. Honestly, there's still a lot, but I just have to wrap this video up because I'm already getting angry and I try my best to stay in touch with my emotions and calm myself down when making videos about this. That's why I don't really like making it back to back because honestly, it messes with my mental state. This is just so evil. From now on, I'm gonna do something like a speed run on all the outrageous things that Carissa and Mandre keep doing. For example, Carissa claims that God talked directly to her. Like she hears what God is saying and she knows what God has in plan for her family. And according to her, God told her that the earth is flat while she was praying. Carissa and Mandre have made it clear that they do not celebrate Christmas, neither do they celebrate birthdays. And Carissa have talked about the fact that certain things are not in the Bible, so she doesn't follow them as long as it's not in the Bible. And I feel like she was, let's just say, coming at critics for telling her that she's having too much children and she's always referencing that it's not in the Bible, so I'm gonna have as much children as possible, which is just crazy to me because girl, you're literally exploiting your children on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, making as much videos as possible, doing different sponsorships in your name. Please open your Bible and tell me where that is located. Please, I want to read it for myself. Let me be more educated on that if I'm truly that dumb like how you think I am. Christians like this, they pick and choose what to follow. They pick and choose what fits their narrative. That's how they live their life. They claim that they're Christians, but in reality, they are really not devout as how they think they are. Another thing that she has been called out for is whitewashing her children or editing their pictures to look lighter than they actually are in real life. And as you guys already know, the children are mixed and she's making them lighter to fit her complexion more than her husband. And the whole thing didn't just sit right with a lot of people online and they felt like she was being racist. I don't know, you can make your own opinion on that, but that's why she was being called out. Guys, I'm already cringing even before I bring up this particular thing. Mandre Collins' persona is basically cringe worthy. Anytime I watch this guy being in the middle of his children, lip syncing to a motivational song or let's just say lyric, I'm always like, what? It's so cringe, and he feels like he's always on top of the world for some reason. I feel like Mandre is not really getting the heat that he deserves. He's not getting the heat that he deserves because even from the get go, with the way Carissa has explained a few things about their children, how not wanting children at first, it is obvious that this man probably talked her into it. Like he said, when he later decided that he's gonna have multiple children as long as God allows it, he didn't tell Carissa. Carissa was not expecting it because according to her, she was already falling sick, like how you have seen earlier in the video. I feel like my vocabulary is now limited and it's time for me to end this video because this is the last thing I want to say. Honestly, this family is so weird. Carissa and Mandre, how do you guys even live with yourself? You claim that God is backing you up, God has your back, God has always been there for you. But have you ever even sat down and just thought, what we are doing, is it good? Is it actually biblical. If you're really a Christian, you know that putting your children online is very, very dangerous. Now, I see videos of parents posting their child once in a while, their child doing something cute, but that one is pretty much normal to a certain extent. It depends on where you stand. However, when you're posting your child and the entire account is dedicated to them, it's literally exploitation. You should probably know this already. But honestly, I don't even think they care. They probably know, but they don't care. Anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Bye.